Armen, I gotta tell you something before you go. If they don't give you the title fight by the end of the year, you were joking or are you being serious? You might be done.
We'll see.
As you saw from that clip there, I'm worried about Armen Tsarukyan and his standing with the UFC now. A couple of weeks ago, it's not been that long, a couple of weeks ago, I did a video calling Armen Tsarukyan a bit of a moron for sort of turning down Gamrot and saying, why should I fight him? I'm the number one contender. Now, the reason I called him a moron, I think it's fair that the number one contender, the guy who was just about to get a title shot, does not want to fight number 7 ranked Gamrot, right? Even though Gamrot does have a win over him, it's still like not that big of a name and maybe it wouldn't be that exciting. But the UFC is really pissed off at Armen Tsarukyan, right? You just pulled out on on a day's notice, right? Whether it was a weight issue, whether it was a real injury, some people think it was steroids. I think personally he wasn't going to make weight. That's kind of my theory now, I guess. It could be so many different things, though. I think he wasn't going to make weight because the UFC are like, if it was an injury, why would the UFC just be this angry at him, right? But anyways, so he pulls out of a fight on a day's notice, ruins an entire card, right? Probably they had to refund a bunch of tickets, and now they offered you Mateusz Gamrot, and you turned that down as well. Now again, I understand it's not in his best interest to fight a guy like Gamrot, but it would have been nice for you to do the UFC a favor since you literally fucked up an entire card. But that was a couple of weeks ago this came out, right? He's been busy. He's been doing karate combat. He just beat Patrick, what is his name? Patrick, whatever the fuck this guy's name is. He beat him, right? So he's not injured at all. Like, he's been busy. He's not injured, clearly. He's in good shape, He looks to be in good shape, So what's going on? We're not hearing any news about him matchup-wise. Again, they offered him Gamrot. He turned it down. Now you're in more hot water because you turned down Gamrot. Now you're going to be in more hot water. Again, I understand why he would turn down Gamrot, but now he can't really complain because Paddy Pimblett's going to fight Gaethje. We can get to this, actually, because Paddy Pimblett basically said, I believe, where the fuck is it? It's over here. Okay. Paddy Pimblett said, I'm hoping to fight in Abu Dhabi in October. I think it's more than likely Justin Gaethje. No one cares about Armen Tsarukyan, and people actually want to watch Gaethje fight. People know it'll be an exciting fight. Me versus Gaethje, Tsarukyan. He's just an absolute tool. Now, very rich coming from Paddy because he called out Armen Tsarukyan amongst other names like Poirier and Justin Gaethje after his win against Michael Chandler. So now all of a sudden he doesn't want to fight Armen Tsarukyan. Now he wants to fight all the way in October, even though he took minimal damage in his last fight, by the way. But it's because he's so fucking fat that he has to cut down in weight. It is what it is. And now he's just saying, no one cares about Armen. Armen he's fucked, bro. He's fucked. Even if Paddy wanted to fight Armen, they're not booking that fight. You guys know that. Like, you guys can say what you want. I love Paddy Pimblett. I wouldn't say I love him. I really like Paddy Pimblett, and I'll be honest. I thought Chandler was gonna beat him, to be honest with you. I know it sounds crazy in hindsight, but I really thought Chandler was better than he showed. But Paddy Pimblett destroyed him. But we have to be honest, right? Paddy Pimblett is the UFC's golden goose. Paddy Pimblett has been given some of the most favorable matchups a contender has ever been given. From getting a decision win against Jared Gordon, to getting a washed Tony Ferguson, to then getting Bobby Green, to then getting a top 10 ranked guy in Michael Chandler, to now getting a Justin Gaethje, to then a title shot. That is the biggest rise. Like, that's the easiest rise, to be honest with you, that a contender could have. Like, no offense, it's just the truth. So people might shit on me for that, but he has a pretty favorable rise. It's not easy. I wouldn't say it's easy. Like, if he faces Gaethje, if he beats Gaethje, that's extremely impressive, right? That would be extremely impressive if he were to beat Justin Gaethje. But Armen Tsarukyan, I would much rather see you face a guy who's younger than you. A lot of people don't realize Paddy's 30. Armen is 28. But they wouldn't do this because it's too much of a risk. It's too much of a... Imagine Armen Tsarukyan, the guy with less fans, the guy with less casual fans, beats their golden goose, Paddy Pimblett, the guy that they've perfectly curated to be a title contender or a champion, a future champion. So whether Paddy calls out Armen or not, this fight was never going to get booked. It's clear that they're going to do Paddy versus Gaethje. Armen's fucked. He's really fucked because Holloway's facing Poirier. If Holloway wins that, do you think Holloway's going to be looking at an Armen Tsarukyan? You know, then you got fucking Poirier's going to retire if he wins, so that's not going to happen. If Gaethje beats Paddy, he's going to get a title shot. If Paddy beats Gaethje, he's going to get a title shot, so they don't have to fight like one more or anything. They're just going to get straight to a title shot. Dan Hooker's still injured, so he's going to be out for a while. I don't even think he's had his second hand surgery yet, so he's still injured. He's going to be out probably until around October or September, you know? And I know Armen's saying he wants to fight sooner than that. Then you got Charles and Ilya's booked up. Islam has moved up. And Gamrot just won, but he turned down Gamrot already. And he clearly does not want to fight someone that low in the rankings. He's in a very bad spot. He's in a very, very bad spot right now where there's just not a lot of options, which is why I think they did offer him the Gamrot fight in the first place, is because, to be honest with you, it's just not a lot of options, and he's not that big of a name to where, yeah, you know, of course Justin Gaethje would fight Armen. It's like, you know, it's Armen. You know, Gaethje wouldn't want to risk his ranking standing by fighting a guy like Armen, even though Armen's ranked higher than him, but you know what I mean. It's more risk and less reward. But it's not fair, and this is not how the UFC should be ran. I mean, Armen is the number one contender. He pulled out of the fight on a day's notice. I understand this. And I'm not shocked that the UFC are punishing him. But we have to do something, man. We have to do something. And then you have Armen saying, it was obvious you were talking trash with zero intention of backing it up. Your UFC career is built on handouts, hype, and shortcuts. And I want to say this. Do I think Paddy is ducking Armen, by the way? To an extent. I mean, like, Gaethje is an easier fight than Armen. Gaethje is not an easy fight for anybody in the UFC. I want to clarify that. I'm just saying, stylistically, Gaethje's grappling is not that great. Whereas Armen, there's a very high chance Armen could beat Paddy. In fact, I'd probably pick Armen to beat Paddy Pimblett at this point. That's the problem. That's why they're not going to book that fight. And it's just, I feel bad for Armen. I'm really worried they're going to ice him out. I'm really worried they're going to ice him out. And I kind of want to say this here too. And you have this as well. Armen saying he'll be ready to step in as a backup for the upcoming lightweight bouts. Ilya versus Charles. Dustin versus Holloway as well. Again, he's got nothing planned. He's willing to step up as a backup for a fight in June and August. He's got nothing. They've literally got nothing for this guy. He's talking about stepping up to be a backup. June and July, I meant. UFC 318's in July, I believe. So June and July, he's talking about stepping up. And it's just like, he's cooked. He's really cooked. Now I just need to get back on track, so I'm going to do whatever the UFC tells me to do. I don't know. Maybe his mindset is a bit different now. Than the clip I played earlier in the video. And this clip where he says that, you know, he turned down Gamrot and stuff. This was like a couple of weeks ago, but maybe his mindset is different. I'm not sure, but they shouldn't be doing all this, man. I know he was injured, or even if he missed weight. At this point, give him somebody. They should be pushing for him versus Paddy, him versus Gaethje, someone like that. Him versus Charles in a rematch should have been... We should be getting Ilia Topuria versus Islam Makhachev in a couple of weeks, and the co-main event could have been Armen versus Charles, or at least the feature fight, because you still have Pantoja as the co-main event. But it's just crazy, man. A lot of these guys... The fact that Paddy could even sit here and be like, yeah, I don't want to fight Armen. Where's the tweet? Yeah, I don't want to fight Armen. I want Gaethje. Are you the matchmaker, brother? You're the fighter. The matchmaker tells you who to fight. It's just crazy, man. It's crazy. A lot of people... Again, you saw Charles Oliveira said he didn't want to fight Armen. Apparently, this was a rumor Ilya said he didn't want to fight Armen. That was a rumor like a couple of weeks ago, months ago at this point, that Ilya ducked Armen Tsarukyan. So if this is true, I mean, no one wants to fight this guy. The UFC are clearly pissed at him. I'm worried he's going to leave or something. I don't know, man. He's keeping himself busy. He's fighting in karate combat. He's fighting in freaking... I'm worried he's going to leave. I mean, since when do they let their guys do this much stuff outside the UFC anyways? We don't usually see this. I know it's only grappling, though. It's not like that big of a deal. But we don't usually see these guys do this much outside the UFC. I know he's just trying to keep busy, I guess. That would be my guess, but... Because he's rich. I mean, he doesn't need the money. That's the thing. There's no leverage over him. He doesn't need the UFC. He could retire and just retire a millionaire. He doesn't need to be in the UFC. But he's 28. He's in his prime. They need to figure their shit out, man. I understand he fucked up a big opportunity. He pulled out on a day's notice. It's embarrassing. It's a joke. But punishment over. You've iced him out long enough. Give him a name now. Because at the end of the day, he's still an exciting contender. He does have good fights. And he did earn his way to a title shot, even if he fumbled it. So it's ridiculous. At this point, again, they're going to give it to Paddy over him. They're going to do Paddy versus Gaethje in October. And Paddy's getting the title shot in like March. And Armen is still going to be sitting on the sidelines like, hello? Like, anyone home? Like, poor Armen. He's probably going to end up fighting Dan Hooker, I guess. But to go from being the number one contender to fighting Dan Hooker, it's like, I love Dan Hooker, but I'm just saying. It's just crazy, man. Crazy. I want to say this here at the end. I really hope that this doesn't become like another Muhammad Mokaev situation where, and because it kind of reminds me of it in a sense where one mistake, or with Mokaev, they said it was sort of like he was, what did they say? He was like mean to the staff or something. He was mean to the staff. Meanwhile, John Jones could beat his wife. John Jones is a PR disaster and has been a PR disaster for the UFC for however many years. They've never cut him. They've never threatened to cut him. They've kept him on their roster for years and years and years. Meanwhile, Mokaev, what? He was a little bit mean to the matchmaker, so we're going to cut him from the fucking sport? Look, I understand Mokaev was very boring. I understand Armen. Armen's not really boring, though, so that's not a good excuse. I've said this again, but the fight with Beneil Dariush, he KO'd him. You know, the fight with Gamrot was great. The fight with Charles was fun. I know he's not a Paddy Pimblett who has viral TikTok edits or some bullshit, or he doesn't KO people all the time, but he's a fun fighter. So I just don't get it. I don't understand this. I understand he pulled out on a day's notice, but that was months ago. Islam has moved on. The division has moved on. We're about to get a new champion in a couple of weeks. Let's move the fuck on, bro. I'm sick of this. I feel bad for Armen. You know, I went from shitting on him, calling him a moron, to now I'm like pleading with the UFC to do something with this guy because, again, I don't want another Mokaev situation, which, by the way, I want them to re-sign Muhammad Mokaev. I just want to say that. Please re-sign Muhammad Mokaev. I think he's done really good work outside the UFC, and flyweight could legitimately use a guy like that who has a little bit of fan heat. The fans kind of hate him, and he's a bit of a shit talker. And yes, he's a little bit boring, but fuck it. Flyweight needs him, man. Who do we have at flyweight? We're going to get, what, Royval versus Pantoja 3? Moreno versus Pantoja 4? You know, Cara France Pantoja 2, technically, we're about to get, because he did technically beat him on the Contender Series, I think. It's just like Mokaev versus Pantoja would have been a fresh matchup. 5 rounds, it would have been interesting. But nonetheless, re-sign Mokaev, and I don't know what's going on with Armen, but I'm worried, and I hope that they can fix this, because if not, we're going to lose out on a guy who's in his prime. He's the best he's ever going to be, really. I mean, he might get better. He's only 28, but he's in his prime, man. Let's figure this shit out. Make sure you guys like and sub. Become a member in the description. What are your guys' thoughts on Armen Tsarukyan and this whole thing, man? It's kind of annoying. I feel bad. Peace.